first topic, which I already forgot which one I took. Oh, that's right. Misinformation. Misinformation. So, as I'm sure all you guys know out there, especially if you watch the Nintendo Prime YouTube channel, and not everybody does, there's been a lot of misinformation for Switch, too. And it's been very, very frustrating. Has it been frustrating for you guys?
Yeah.
No for Stash?
Yeah.
No, I ignore it all.
I know I'm getting it, so
well, see,
yes,
for Eric, he's like, whatever, it doesn't matter. For Stash, he's like, well, I can ignore it all. See, Stash is also not a channel covering news, so he doesn't have to pay attention to any of the misinformation.
Well, I watch all of it. No, I watch it all,
yeah,
and I hear it, and I see everyone reporting on it. I watch the news like crazy, like my whole life for video game stuff. I am dialed in. I told you this.
Yes, I know.
I used to live on the forums on Planet GameCube back in the day. Dude, yeah, like for real. I watch it all, but you know, it's just like there's just misinformation everywhere in the world. And you know, yeah, now it's with video games, right? Now it's with Nintendo right now. I'm just so immune to like being able to automatically filter it out and ignore it. And still consume whatever good content there is and move on.
Yeah. So here's the thing: the misinformation's out there, and we'll go into the specific things that people are misinformed about. I'm not misinformed about anything, but I don't think an average consumer, like I'm running a Nintendo podcast. Let's just be honest. I'm not an average consumer of Nintendo products. I'm obviously well aware of what's true and what's not true, what's fake and what's real. But it's been incredibly frustrating. I made multiple videos, obviously correcting some of the misinformation out there, because my problem is, like, I'm out in the real world. Like, I'll go to the store and I'll be like looking at the Nintendo section at Walmart, and I had someone walk up to me today and they're like, hey, have you heard about Switch 2? I'm like, yeah, dude, it's insane. They're charging $90 for games. I'm like, no, they're fucking not.
No.
Where'd you hear that? Dude, you haven't checked.
Slam them against the game case. What did you say to me?
Have you not been on the internet? It's everywhere, man. I'm like, oh, well, do you play? Dude, I don't even own a Switch. This is insane. I'm like, oh my God. These are like casual people that don't even know what the fuck's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's how bad the misinformation's gotten with Switch 2. That like, it's not us hardcore people that watch Nintendo podcasts. Everyone in this audience, you guys are not misinformed. You know what's up. I doubt there's a single person in the live chat that doesn't know there is not a single game on Switch 2 listed for $90.
Yeah.
But the general audience, that's the problem. This is where the misinformation sucks, because Nintendo has a really broad appeal audience, and they're the ones that they don't pay as close of attention. They just see the headlines. They see maybe one thing pop across TikTok, and now they're misinformed.
Here's the thing for me. It's like 50-50. I understand Stash saying like, no, it's not frustrating. I could care less. And I totally get that side of it. I also have the frustrations. It's not my own like personal frustrations with it, but it is a bummer knowing that, listen, there's always going to be console war people. There's always going to be trolls and hardcore fanboys of any platform who are going to push out as much negative news as they possibly can, regardless of whether or not it's based in fact or reality. It's just going to happen. And a lot of people just get off on it, and they just like the idea of trolling people and trying to own them. But the thing that sucks about it is, like you mentioned, Nate, casual gamers who are just popping into Twitter or jumping onto YouTube to learn about the new console, when there's like big names or journalists reporting super negative stories that actually aren't true and are misinformation. It sucks hype and joy, and causes confusion for people who maybe aren't playing into the negativity, but like, oh man, that like sucks. I can't even afford negative games. And and some of them are younger people who are going to be walking the schoolyard and telling their friends, like, I'm super bummed. Switch games are $90. I like my mom's not going to get me a $90 Mario Kart game for my birthday. Whatever. It's like it's the joy that it's sucking out of what should be such an exciting time for people, especially Nintendo fans. But even if you're not hardcore Nintendo, like, it's a new console. Listen, you could call me a Nintendo fanboy. They're my favorite of the big three, but I have an Xbox, I have a PlayStation, I buy every console, I buy games from every console. I want them all to kick ass and succeed. But I don't even know where I was going with this. Anyways, the point is we should all be excited about this. We shouldn't be bringing it down. Obviously, when there's nefarious stuff that goes on in the industry, you know, some of the you know, rough shutdowns or you know, mistreatment of employees, that's stuff that's totally worth like bagging on a company or a studio head who's abusing power. But when it comes to this, it's like, dude, let's get hyped, man. We got a ton of great games coming. We got a brand new Switch that's more powerful, more feature rich. We got brand new controllers, all the bells and whistles. It's launching with a freaking Mario Kart game, biggest series on a Nintendo console. Like, we should be celebrating. So that part of it's frustrating, seeing the joy taken away.
Yeah. So like, it's like the $90 game thing. Just for context, for those who don't know, like how it started, is there are the MSRP, the suggested manufacturer retail price for physical games in most European countries by Nintendo is 89.99 euros, while it is 79.99 euros for digital. So there's like this 10 euro difference. And basically, Tom Henderson is kind of the blame. Good old Tommy. He's a great guy. He's really good with his inside information. He made a horrendous headline using the dollar symbol instead of euros. And then you would think, oh, he just made a mistake there. No, the very first paragraph says it's $90 US when it's not. It's euros. And the funny thing about it is, if you actually look at the listings, this is for Mario Kart World, by the way, the only, you know, brand new game that's at that high price. Most of the retailers in Europe aren't even listing the physical version at 90 euros. They're going against the suggested retail price and listing it at 80. So like, it's actually pretty hard to buy it for 90 unless you buy direct from Nintendo, because the retailers themselves aren't even charging that. So like, it makes it even like, and people don't even realize that like, if you live in Europe, you actually don't have to pay 90 euros. So many retailers are charging 80 for physical. They're not willing to meet Nintendo's $90 price, which means they're basically cutting out their profits from the game, because they usually make about 10 euros for games. They're cutting out theirs, saying, screw it. We'd rather get people to come to our store over Nintendo's store, and maybe they'll buy other stuff that makes us more money while they're here. So that's usually why companies do. That's why Walmart does that. When Walmart had the deal about going in person and getting all launch games when they launch, like $10 cheaper for Nintendo, the idea was to get you in the Walmart, to get you to come into the store, get the traffic. They'll take they'll make no money on the sale of that game, but they hope you're buying other stuff when you're there. And that's the same process these retailers are doing now. Is, hey, we're not going to charge 90. We're going to charge the same as digital, but maybe while you're here, you'll maybe pick up some other games or some other accessories that we actually make money on.
Soda, chips.
Yeah, whatever.
You know,
yeah, if it's an in-person store, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's the idea there. So yeah, it does suck that Nintendo did that, but they're not doing that here, and it's fake. And by the way, the biggest thing I see on it is like, well, 80, 90, what's the difference? It's a lot of money. Okay, 70, 80, what's the difference? It's a lot of money. Like, it's the same argument.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and if it was 70, I don't think people would actually be freaking out, because that's been a standard price now for a handful of years. Anyways, we can talk more on the price in a moment, because I'm very curious on our general thoughts about Nintendo raising the price on stuff, because we haven't really talked too much about that besides our initial reaction back on the second. We'll come back to that here at the end of this first topic. So the other misinformation going out there, I said this on the internet. I think people are either being intentionally misleading for clicks, which is definitely a thing. It's called grifting for clicks. You know what you're presenting isn't true, but you don't care because it's getting you views. There are certain YouTubers out there, I won't name them on this show, although they've been named in my live streams, that are most definitely, there's no possible way they don't know the truth. And they're doing it anyways. And that sucks. And that's what leads to things like the misinformation on game key cards. So game key cards, by the way, I'm not even a fan of them. I don't like fake physical games. Do any of us like fake physical games? Don't we always want the game to be physically all on the disc, all on the cartridge?
They had their time and place.
Yeah.
But
I still think it's the lesser of two evils.
no,
You know, it's better than a code in a box.
Well,
I'd rather
sure,
have
yeah.
that.
Because it's something. It's not an amazing something, but it's something.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
a lesser of two evils for sure.
But it's
it'd
still
be like
rather be full physical, right? Like Bravely Default, as an example, as a game key card.
Yeah.
Come on, that should be on a card.
Yeah, by default for sure.
Yeah, like
Because
I don't.
it's a 3DS
Damn.
game.
I mean, come on.
Listen, Stash man, you've made a lot of puns since I've been on this show. I felt that one. I'm gonna be real.
Okay, yeah.
That was a solid pun.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
That was a good one.
Oh yeah, and I want to address this one point talking about the price point, because Sebastian Cross in the chat, he brought up, hey, a lot of Americans don't know that European prices already include sales tax. But here's the funny thing: they can't do that in the U.S. because sales tax is different in every state. We have 5 states that don't even have sales tax. So like it is just $79.99 with a no tax. So like that's why they don't. People always wonder like, oh, there's the stupid Americans. They should be adding the sales tax when they list their MSRP. I'm like, they can't. They would have to list like 70 different prices, 50 different prices. Sorry,
No,
for the 50 states.
You're even wrong on that, because cities have taxes, counties have taxes. You know,
Yeah. State to state, like, city to city, county to county. It all depends on where you are.
Millions.
It was such a dumb argument to make.
Yeah,
it was so infuriating.
Yeah, so it's like they literally can't include taxes, because there are places in the U.S. you can go and there won't be a sales tax.
Yeah.
But within that same state, you go to a different city and they're chopping on 10%, even though the state doesn't have a tax. But that other county didn't have one. They stayed with the state because they get enough funds from the state. So it's a whole thing where that's why like they can't tell you anything but MSRP, because they can't presume. You think it's confusing with the 90 euros versus the $80 US? Man, if they had to list the price for every possible territory in the US, oh my God, people would be the chart. It'd be so large, we'd be confused trying to read it. Be like, what is the price? I don't even know what the price is.
It'd be one of those. It would be like a thick ass terms and conditions packet with fine print.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like it's one of those that's why they can't do that in the U.S. You can say that means our system's messed up. I don't know if it means it's messed up. The states are all individual, and some states are doing better than others. Beats the fuck out of me. We're not here to get political. But what I will say is when we're talking about like the game key cards, so the misinformation around that was wild, because Nintendo's own website was so clear about what game key cards are. And people had this assumption that you couldn't resell them. You couldn't borrow it to a friend because it's a digital game, right? So it's tied to your account. But how can it be tied to your account if you can't play it unless you insert the game key card? But if it's tied to your account, you don't need the game key card, just like a normal digital game. But you need the game key card. And Nintendo did come out, to their credit, in an interview, Dota, one of the hardware guys, and literally said, yeah, it ain't tied to anything. It's tied, you just insert the cartridge and play. Yeah, no shit. That's exactly what your website says. Reading comprehension, I think, is becoming a problem.
To be fair, though, wasn't that buried on their site, though?
No. Well, okay. So game key cards, the only reason we found out about it was because it's buried in their Q&A section or FAQ or whatever in their support page. Sure. That's how we found out about it.
Once we found out about it, it's...
But here's the problem. Read the fucking page.
But here's also the problem. They didn't include those details when they announced it.
They didn't announce it. So they never announced game
Oh,
key
yeah,
cards.
true.
They
I
never
was sorry. I was thinking the digital game cards for when they did for the original announcement. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So they never announced game key cards. We found out about it through the FAQ. Now, look, I think they should have announced something about it, made a more public deal about it. But here's the problem. This is why I hate the misinformation that goes around about it. All the information, the place you found out about game key cards from, literally has all the information on game key cards. Just read the page. They even show you how it works. They have pictures and diagrams explaining how it works. And like people are like, well, it's DRM. Okay, well, is your physical game DRM? You can't play the physical game if you don't insert the cart. The only DRM is on the very first boot. It has to connect to the internet to verify your license key. That's it. You never need to connect again. That license key is tied to the card. Now, if you give it to a friend, yes, when they install the game, it will do one check to verify the license key, and then they can never have to go back on again. And what we don't know is if the friend and you, after that one check, can pass it back and forth and never do an online check again. That we don't know. And that is something, since I'm going to buy one of these games at launch, I don't really plan to buy too many game key cards. But I need to buy one at launch because I want to test for you guys. Okay, if I install it on my Switch 2, Eric installs it on his Switch 2. If we turn the internet off on both our systems after that initial check, can we just now freely pass that key back and forth and keep playing? That would be cool.
Yeah,
we don't know. That's something we don't know and isn't clarified. But what is clarified is we can borrow it to friends. We can resell it. And yes, the resale value is only going to go so far as the download shop remains available. Now, people have pointed out you can re-download your games still on Wii. Games you have purchased on Wii digitally, you could still re-download today. They have not turned off those servers. So we're talking about a hypothetical situation that hasn't even happened since Nintendo entered the digital age. The Wii, DS, 3DS, you could still download any digital game you purchased. You can't buy anymore. Wii U, they shut down the shops. You can't. But once you bought it, you can re-download it.
Their download servers are still up.
Their download servers are still up. So technically, Nintendo has never shut that down. So we're fear-mongering over a future that Nintendo's never actually participated in. They've let us continue to download games that we purchased, going all the way back to Wii, which is the very first system they had digital purchases on at all. So that's a very good sign, actually, that the value on game key cards will probably last decades, several decades. Because Nintendo has never shown any indication they're shutting down the download servers. And to be fair, I don't think it's costing them that much to keep the Wii download servers up. I'm not sure that many people are actually re-downloading their Wii games a lot. You know, like, don't know that it's that common. So it's probably just a cost of doing business to even just power the server on. It's probably one little server in the corner of Miyamoto's dark dungeon, keeping the Wii games and the DS games online. Anyways, and there wasn't that many digital games back then. That was more of the that was when Virtual Console to re-download. And there was a couple like the DSiWare games, and they also had like some little like World of Goo, and that's when they started the indie stuff back then. But it was still a really small library relative to today now. But yeah, there's no indication that they're I don't want to say ever going to shut down the servers, but they haven't yet. That being said, they've shut down the purchasing stuff, like they've shut down the shops, but still can re-download them. So the confusion around game key cards was mostly just people making an assumption that the page doesn't state and never indicates and clearly says how they work. Like they work like a physical game, except for the fact you have to download the game, which is ironic because it's not new. Has anyone ever put a physical disc in your PlayStation or Xbox and had to download the game still?
Yeah, very often.
It's extreme. And I'm not just talking about installing the game, guys. Having to actually download most of the game. Just got announced that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on PS5. Most of the game is downloaded and not on the disc.
Yeah, there's like 20 gigs on the disc.
Sounds like a game key card situation.
Yeah.
Except that there's no data on the key card besides the license key, but it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. It's just all how the media is spinning it and content creators. Nobody's talking about that except for a few people. Like I tweeted about it maybe a week ago whenever it came out, but nobody ran with it. They just wanted to like pick up the key card story and crap on it.
No one, it's so weird. No one corrects, you know. Listen, sometimes you're gonna get shit wrong. You know, hear a story, report on it. You know, not everyone you should do your due diligence. I know you do, Nate, with a lot of stuff, but hey, you know, sometimes we get stuff wrong. It's so easy to in your next video be like, I want to, you know, correct a story that I put out there last week. It turns out this and this. It's better. Still not the ideal situation, but a lot better than what we previously thought it was. It's so easy.
Yeah. And again, this isn't me saying that I like game key cards. I said from the very beginning of bringing this one up, I'm not a big fan of this. I'd rather there just be a full physical copy, or it be like Call of Duty. Let's say Call of Duty is like 100 gigs for Switch 2. Cool. Well, I'd still like single player to be entirely on the cart, and then you just download multiplayer. That would be nice.
It would be nice.
But we all know it's probably a game key card for the whole thing.
Probably.
Which
So-
somebody would argue makes sense because they can't fit the whole game on it. And you know what? I'm not going to argue with that. It's just, it would be nice.
You're going to have to pop it in and return back in 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
Best case scenario.
I mean, maybe if you got the fiber, maybe we'll see, but
Yeah.
you have to rely on Nintendo servers. At that point, you're probably limited by their servers.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I'm curious because Nate, you already said you're gonna be getting a game key card to test it out. Stash, I know you're hardcore physical. I am as well. I plan on getting at least one as well, just for like the novelty of it, and to be like, eventually there won't be game key cards. Eventually we're gonna be all digital, but it will be kind of cool to have like a piece of Nintendo history and be like, yeah, before they did full digital, they were putting key cards out and stuff like that. Do you plan on getting any of them?
Yeah, I do. Actually, by default, I'm getting Bravely Default.
Same. That's
Yeah.
my
I mean,
key
it's
card of choice.
$40, man.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a game that I didn't get. I have it up on my shelf for 3DS, but it's a game that I just really, story of my life. I was very, very busy working, and I didn't get the time to play it. And I'm a very big fan of the HD 2D remakes. Of course, like Square Enix has been pushing out Octopath and Dragon Quest, you name it. Just big fan of it because obviously that's the era we grew up with. And so I'm like, $40 as a launch title. And again, I don't really care that it's not a key card, man. If it's a code in the box, I care a little bit more for sure. And at that point, maybe I'll just go digital because I don't care about the code and I'd rather save the space probably at that point. But I don't mind these these red cards.
Yeah.
I think they're a lot cooler, honestly, than nobody wants a code in the box. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
But you get a card still. You still get the box art.
Yeah.
It ain't that bad. And you know what? The thing is that we're gonna see it a lot. I really do.
And
I don't think we're gonna get a lot of cyberpunk stories where they work very hard to put it all on the cart.
There's a market for boxes too. Like people are literally making boxes of retro games.
I see it all
Super
the time.
Nintendo, like mock Super Nintendo boxes, N64 boxes, mock jewel cases for PS1 games.
Labels too.
Yeah.
Cart labels.
I mean, again, not ideal, especially if you prefer physical. It's not ideal. It's a lot better than just the download codes in a box, and it's a lot better than just buying one of those cards hanging on the rack at a Target that just is the little scratch the code and enter it. That's like a Starbucks gift card or a Target gift card for a specific game.
Yeah, it feels very sterile. I don't like that.
Yeah.
All right. So look, game key cards kind of cleared up. It sucks people are still passing around that misinformation. I think some are passing around the misinformation is people just want to be mad. I mean, there's that as well. So people just like to latch on to negativity. And one of the other ones that's out there deals with cartridges as well. And it dealt with the Switch 2 edition games. And supposedly, it's a Switch 1 cartridge with a download code for the Switch 2 edition pack. And I actually don't even know how this started. Nintendo's games, whenever they require a download, they always say download required on the box. They've been that way the entire Switch generation. They're that way on the Switch 2 game key card boxes. The box for the Switch 2 editions do not say download required. They just say the full original Switch 1 game with, the Switch 2 edition stuff. It says and the Switch 2 edition stuff. It doesn't say and a code for the Switch 2 edition stuff. So the assumption should have been it's all on a cartridge. I don't know why anyone would assume otherwise. But again, I think this also comes down to this reading comprehension thing, because Nintendo has now come out in an interview and clarified it, and their UK My Nintendo store clarified it to me and many others that no, it's one cartridge that includes everything. So it's a red cartridge and it does everything, and it only works on Switch 2. Cool.
It's cool, man. It looks like Maximum Carnage
Yeah.
on Super Nintendo. It's awesome.
Yeah, and again,
love
the
it.
misinformation spreads. Like, this is how bad the misinformation got for this. I would have people in my comments after I corrected saying, "No, literally on the box it says it's a download code." I'm like, I put the box on screen and read it to you. It does not say download code. Where did that even come from? That doesn't even make sense. And I understand people said the wording could be clearer. The wording in Japan is much clearer about it than the wording in the US when they translated it over. Although the wording in the US isn't that confusing either if you just have reading comprehension. And this is something I brought up earlier about how people have an issue with reading comprehension. I'm not making fun of anyone in the audience. Look, if you have a reading comprehension problem, it's probably not your fault. It's probably just how you were raised or how you were educated or how you were taught to interpret things when you read them. Reading comprehension can be a problem. And I notice it even with my own kids. It's one of the number one things we're working with them in school right now is my children have reading comprehension problems. They read something and they think it means something that it doesn't. And I think the internet has actually helped make that worse. There's that joke out there, like on X. I see this meme all the time. You know, you tweet out there, you know, I like pancakes. And then someone will respond, you fucking hate waffles? No, it's an entirely different fucking sentence.
I see that a lot. That's interesting you bring that up. It really is, because I see that. And again, that's one of those things I just filter out because I'm like, what the heck? What is wrong? Like, that's crazy. That's a crazy conclusion, but all right. But I keep seeing it more and more. I'm just like, and again, I just keep filtering it out. But now that you bring it up, I do see that a lot. It's very odd.
You say one thing and they just jump to a completely different thing you never even said because they just assume that if you are saying this one thing, then you mean this other thing. It's like, no, reading comprehension. I never said that. Don't put words in my mouth.
I think there's two pieces to the puzzle, and I do agree that one of those pieces is reading comprehension. I actually think the other part of it is attention span issues. And people don't read the whole thing. They read the first line, the first two lines, and then they get caught up in the moment, and now they've got to go type away without finishing. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, but by the way, to clarify, you're bringing up the I like pancakes thing. Look, I do like pancakes. I do like waffles. I love French toast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sign me up. Sign me up, man. I'll eat half a loaf.
Oh, dude. Especially if it's like the Texas toast, French toast. Oh, my
Yes.
God.
Oh, God.
Man.
It's like all thick
Making
and
me hungry.
snack pie.
Right.
Man, guys, we should have hit 420 last night. I could have went for it. All right. So that's that. I would like to say that's like the end of like the biggest misinformation out there. And then Nintendo today. Literally the Nintendo Today app.
Nintendo said, "Hold my beer."
Well, they didn't say hold my beer. Like this.
That's true.
This misinformation's not as bad. But it's a bad look because there's so much grifting on incorrect info. And then Nintendo decides to put out incorrect info themselves worldwide on the Nintendo Today app today. I don't know if anyone's bothered to look at their Nintendo Today app today because I don't check it every day. Admittedly, I don't. I should, but I don't. If there's a big thing that happens, it hits social media anyways, and then I'll go check it out. But the Nintendo Today app, oh, it just crashed for me. Give me 1 second. Happens sometimes. It opened the calendar part. That's why. Okay. So the Nintendo Today app, it's got this little ad here for the grip, except on there, which it probably won't focus in. It says a 3D view of the Joy-Con 2 charging grip. Now, here's the thing. Only one of us on this show has touched a charging grip. It's Thunderstash. They had them at the Switch 2 experiences. They have the 2 buttons on the back, the GL and GR, which basically weren't working or they wouldn't let you map it or whatever. So they were just there so you could feel what it feels like. Then obviously you can plug a cable in and keep the Joy-Cons charged, right? That's the whole point, charging grip. That's not the grip in the app. The grip in the app is the one that comes with Switch 2. That is not a charging grip. So it literally says 3D view of the Joy-Con 2 charging grip, but that's not the grip that's not the grip they're showing. So you have a 3D view of the actual grip that comes with the Switch 2. So this again is also misinformation. It's not the biggest misinformation. It's not as big as $90 games and telling you that game key cards are something they're not. But what it is telling you, and this is the problem with this, is in the era of all the misinformation, now Nintendo did it. And yes, it was probably an honest mistake, but this went worldwide. I've now seen people confirm it in Japan and other worldwide. So that means millions. Nintendo told everyone to download this app on what, April 2nd? Or was it the direct before? I think it was April 2nd. Or was it the direct before? It was the direct before.
I think it was the direct before. Yeah.
The direct before. Yeah. They told everyone download it for Switch 2 news every day.
Yeah.
They literally said after April 2nd, Switch 2 news every day.
Yeah.
And then that's the news you put in there, and it's factually incorrect.
I haven't been.
That's how Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like,
I haven't been reading anything in there. Have I missed anything? Have I really missed anything?
nothing. So it's mostly. I haven't seen like a lot. Like this would be like the news part. I don't consider it news to have a 3D view of a grip.
Neither do I.
I guess since we can't see it, a lot of people can't see it in person, I guess it's kind of cool to look at it. But like most of the stuff they put in here is just like different pieces of art. Like they have the Donkey Kong Bonanza thing here. You get like a 3D view of a cool.
Saw that on Twitter.
And they have like the countdowns in there to the next directs and stuff. So it's mostly stuff that we already really know about. There hasn't really been anything too crazy in here. Notably, they are streaming the Nintendo Direct via this app now.
Huh.
That's tomorrow. The very first Direct ever will be streamed in through the Nintendo Today app. So
that's pretty cool.
I think they're trying to be kind of a hub for fans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen them use the calendar and like sync it with my calendar on my iPhone for release dates, because I manually do that myself.
I would even this, like I would like to see, because I have the little calendar thing here. Let me sync my calendar with your calendar. Just let me have everything on one calendar. I like this Zelda themed calendar. I actually like it. So let me sync my stuff. So when I open up the app, I can see all the things I have going on today that aren't just Nintendo. And then I actually would use your app a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like a Nintendo themed way to check out my day, what I got going on. I like that. But don't get me wrong, they might do that in the future. This is an app that's going to be. They plan for this app to be around for a long time. So I suspect new features will get added over time.
Miiverse confirmed.
Yeah. Put Miiverse on that bad boy. I'll definitely use it every day.
That'd be epic.
But no, so. Again, I don't think it's like the biggest deal that they mixed up the grips. But then if you think about it, I'm not worrying about people like me. Like people saw how, like, man, you look really angry in your video. You saw that. I'm like, well, I'm mad because there's been so much misinformation. The one company that hasn't really provided that misinformation that we've been defending from now just added to it. That is a frustrating moment for me as a content creator trying to defeat misinformation when the very company that I'm explaining the things about goes out of their way to provide misinformation. And it's not me. It's not you guys watching. I'm worried about you guys know what a charge grip is. You know what the standard grip is included in the box. We just did this with the Switch era. We all know, but we're the hardcore. I'm not worrying about us. I'm worrying about the person at the store telling me games cost $90.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are going to open up their Switch 2s, see this exact grip, and wonder how it charges their Joy-Cons. Is it wireless? Am I missing something? Oh, this shit doesn't work. And I'm going to go on the internet and bitch the charging grip doesn't work because you don't have the fucking charging grip.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't blame you for thinking you do. Because Nintendo just advertised it. Nintendo just advertised the wrong grip to millions of people. So that's what I'm frustrated with. That's the problem with misinformation. I'm not worried about you guys and me. And I know you'd be like, well, then why are you so mad in your video? Yeah, it's not about really the people that watch my videos. It's just about
the basic consumer or the parent or the same people who thought that the Wii U was an accessory to the Wii.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is bad communication. It just is. Again, I don't think it's going to overall affect sales of Switch 2. Again, it's a grip. But I know a lot of people that use the grip on Switch 1. My fiance is using it right now playing Fortnite. I know tons of people that use the grip. Is that the best way to play? No, but it's often better than just trying to hold them in your hands. if you want a more traditional controller experience. The split Joy-Con to the side is kind of comfortable sometimes, but anyway, so again, I don't think it's the worst thing. It's just it shouldn't have happened. Like this got posted worldwide. How many checks did this have to go through before it got posted worldwide?
Yeah, that's concerning. Like again, like this stuff, it's unfortunate, right? That it happens because it shouldn't. It should never happen with the source, right? The source being Nintendo. That should never be wrong. That should be the one source we should always be able to count on. You know, like when I go to Best Buy to pick up my pre-orders, and a lot of people know this, that this happens every time. Like, yeah, I'm here to pick up this game. I'll show them the app. They'll be like, oh yeah, we don't have that, or that doesn't come out till next month. Literally, I have conversations like this, I swear, on my life. Okay, on my life. Every time. It's happened last time. And it's just like it makes me think too, like when you're talking about the pancakes and waffles and how what is wrong with people? Am I living in a simulation? This is so weird, dude. This happens every time. And I'm very calm every time because I'm like, I'm a pro at this now. It's been happening for years, dude, like years, probably well over a decade. And it's just so odd, the things that I'm seeing these days.
Yeah. Yeah. So if people wonder, I'm not actually like super mad at Nintendo. It's more so all this misinformation has been going on. We're all aware of it. The last thing we needed was even a little bit of misinformation out of Nintendo. Even though it was probably an intern who made a mistake and nobody checked it and it went live. Okay, well, can nobody go in there and just delete the word charge?
Yeah.
That will fix everything. Just delete the word charge.
Yeah.
That's all they have to do.
Yeah.
It reminds me, not to the extent, obviously, but we've all experienced it. We all experienced it, I'm sure, with Wii U, where we had people calling us, right? Family, friends. Steve, what is the Wii U? Well, what do we do with this accessory? How does this work with the Wii? And we had all those questions, right? Which, again, it's because the marketing was not good. So I see stuff like this, right? And it's like, all right, I don't cover the news, right? Nate, you do. So it's not my job to educate
consumers on anything. Yeah.
But I do, bless you, but I do, like with friends and family.
Sure.
And I always will, but it's like, are we going to have to do this again? And if we do, just to what extent, right?
Yeah.
Because again, it's just concerning when this happens with Nintendo. Like, where's the checks, as you said, the checks and balances? What are we doing here?
Yeah. I just don't know how it got. This is something getting posted worldwide. So I just don't know how there isn't checks and balances. And my whole thing is people make mistakes, and maybe this got through without someone checking it or the right people checking it. But then how is it not corrected by now too? Like, I'm not saying go on social media, issue an apology. Look, I've had typos in my titles before. Oh, someone points it out, edit, delete, fix, problem solved. Like, we can just pretend it never happened. That's all Nintendo would need to do. Yeah, it doesn't change the fact that some people will be misinformed, but at least the next time they check the app, it's correct. So anyways, it is what it is. Again, my major frustration isn't so much that particular thing. It's more a buildup. They're just giving ammunition to the people who are intentionally misinforming. And here's the thing. They're giving ammunition because I bet you, I have not watched a single content creator on this, but I bet you the ones that have been grifting on all the fake information will now grift on this being misinformation from Nintendo, ironically.
I think so too. I think that's what's going on, is that they're just riding, I presume, what would be like the algorithm wave, which is it's a sad form of content, but it's very prevalent, I would say, amongst some groups within YouTube. It's like, come on, you got to be kidding me, bro. Does your thumbnail really say $90 Switch 2 games and it's April 16th? Don't actually believe that, but again, they're just trying to bring people in, and it's sad. It's sad work, but what can you do, man?
Yeah. Look, I'm not gonna say the guy's name out loud, but hey, we have a super chat. Thank you so much to Taker 610. So yeah, this podcast isn't just on my channel, like in my streams, I'll call people out, but like the show represents all of us, and unless everyone wants to start calling them all out, we're gonna leave that alone. We don't need to create drama. That being said, I do. Sorry, I can't. It's so funny. It's all like people don't know.
That's pretty funny.
It's not like people don't know about that particular YouTuber.
Yeah, I just wanted to add real quick, Nate, because I had to step away for a second. That I think you made fantastic points about Nintendo and just like the confusion with that announcement. It's bad enough that we have YouTubers out there, without naming any names, reporting that Switch 2 is going to cost $600 to $700.
Oh my god, those are the worst.
I watched one today. I'm not going to say who, but I don't know the lie. I mean, the guy.
That was the other one. The tariff thing, the headline with the tariffs. I totally forgot. Oh my god. Because Nikkei posts an article with an absolutely horrendous headline saying 145% tariff is going to affect Switch 2s in the United States. But it doesn't.
Yeah,
because
they don't manufacture them
from Vietnam. And their source is just somebody who works in manufacturing with Apple and Nintendo. And all their source said, if you read the article, is that video game consoles are not exempt, which is true, and thus will be subject to the tariffs. Their source never specifically said Switch 2 in the US is being hit with the tariffs. They just said video game consoles in general. PlayStation 5's entire supply to the US comes from China. They're impacted. Nintendo planned a long time ago. It's Vietnam. We're watching the 90-day delay with the 10% tariff and the negotiations. That's what we're paying attention to for the US, not what's happening in China. Although there are some accessories that do come from China to the US for Switch 2, they'll be sold separately. That, we could see some price things if Nintendo doesn't move their manufacturing. The Pro controllers, for those who don't know, are made in Cambodia. I put up a tweet about this, where all their stuff, all their accessories are coming from. Switch 2s are coming from Vietnam. It's right on Nintendo's website. That was the frustrating thing about that headline, and it started getting ran everywhere. Shout out to Go Nintendo, though. You talked to Jake Randall and actually corrected the headline. I do appreciate that. I love when an outlet can do that and just admit, hey, we screwed up. It's okay. We all make mistakes. Nikkei is a credible place, but they made a really terrible headline for clicks. So it's right on Nintendo's website. The systems come from Vietnam. Well, also on Nintendo's websites where everything else comes from. So the Switch 2 Pro controllers come from Cambodia. The camera comes from Vietnam. The Joy-Cons come from Vietnam. So if you buy an extra set of Joy-Cons, those are also from Vietnam. But there is like the big thing is if you want an extra charging cable and brick, those come from China. If you want an extra, or if you want the official Switch 2 carrying case that carries everything, that also comes from China. I have a whole tweet up about it if you want to go look at that. They want to see the rest of the stuff, but it's mostly just those accessories. And when it comes to the charging brick, guys, Nintendo is apparently using standard power delivery this time.
Hooray.
So you don't really, if you want you could just get a third party one and you'll probably be fine. It's a 45 watt delivery. It's completely standard for USB-C. You could just get that. You don't even have to buy Nintendo's branded one. So, but you'll still get one in the box, and that one won't be impacted because it got shipped to you out of Vietnam. So, So I heard some people say, well, if the parts are manufactured in China, just to kind of explain how tariffs work, they can't tax parts being shipped from China to Vietnam. They can only tax the parts coming from the country to the US. So the charge bricks and cords can come from China and go there. The chipset can come from China and go to Vietnam. But the only tax there is when it leaves Vietnam and comes to the US. So that's why it's like, even though parts that are in the box might be made in China, that doesn't matter because it's all assembled in Vietnam. The US supply is, to be clear. China probably still makes most of the world's Switch 2s. They just don't make the United States ones. Nintendo planned for this, basically. Furukawa even talked about this earlier this year at an investors meeting when people asked about tariffs. He said, well, we've diversified our supply chains to the US, so we're not as worried about it. Now, Nintendo did say the quiet part out loud. Oh, 46%. We didn't know that was going to happen. Well, shit. We got to delay pre-orders, and we still don't have a pre-order date.
Mm-hmm.
Some rumors for next week. We still don't have an exact date on that. So that's why it's not a topic this week, because we don't have an exact date. I was hoping they'd announce it by now. Maybe they'll announce it in the direct tomorrow. Speaking of all of that now, that's all the misinformation I'm aware of out there. If there's anything else, it's just made up bullshit. If there's anything else out there. But one thing that's consistent through all of this, and it's been consistent since April 2nd, is the whole drop the price thing, the drop the price movement, as we call it. And I just want to get onto this here because I know all of us are buying Switch 2. All of us are probably getting Mario Kart, which is the expensive game. We're probably some of us might be planning to get the bundle, some might be getting the physical copy. But I put up this post the other day that I thought was very, very interesting about something I'm noticing with trends about some, not all, but some of the people that are screaming drop the price. And I believe it was me quote tweeting Shadow Fox Infinite of all people. Shout out to him. I think I saw him in the comments on this show. But it was basically something along the lines of a lot of people that are saying drop the price are people that were never going to buy Switch in the first place and probably never owned an original Switch either. They're screaming it because they hate Nintendo anyways. And they were just waiting for the excuse to jump on. This is not saying some of you in the audience don't think it's too expensive and don't think they should drop the price. But it becomes exasperated by, I guess, the people that I label as haters because they've been waiting in the wings. They've been waiting and waiting and waiting to jump down Switch 2's throat.
Nate, are you talking games? Or are you talking the actual hardware?
Well, I mean, the haters are criticizing both, but the game one's the most prevalent.
Sure.
The $80 game.
Because they didn't, it's funny, like they thought they were so clever with this drop the price movement, yet they didn't explain what they want the price dropped on, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
Like, you left out a key part, man. Are you wanting a cheaper console? You want a cheaper Joy-Con? Want cheaper games? Which one is it?
Yeah, the game's the one getting slammed the most, right? That I see. But when you say drop the price, that it could be across the board, could be everything. But look, we're about to have a Mario Kart World Direct tomorrow. We know what that chat's going to be.
Yeah,
it's going to be nothing but drop the price for 15, 20 minutes. Well, actually, throw the half hour early, 45 minutes. It's going to be straight of just people screaming drop the price. And it's interesting to me because I do think $80 is quite a bit of money for a game because we hadn't seen this price before. But I was looking at my purchase history on a lot of games that aren't necessarily on Nintendo platforms or ones I'm playing on Xbox or PlayStation or PC. And there's that initial buy-in price. But then I almost always am spending extra on DLC. Yeah. Some of them have content locked behind certain mechanics or season passes, and I'm spending money on that. And I started realizing that a lot of these games I spent a hell of a lot more than $80 on.
Yeah. Or even editions. You've got your standard edition of the game. You've got your deluxe edition that has extra skins and XP packs. And then your ultimate edition that comes with the first wave of DLC has extra skins. You only get that in that edition.
Yeah, early access, like you said, where you get to be their beta tester for 3 days unpaid.
Yeah.
But you pay them for it. Just to do that. That's always an interesting one, depending on how you want to look at that and how you want to spin it.
Yeah, it's a weird double standard, and I want to preface that with $80 is expensive for a game. There's no precedent for it in modern consoles for just like a standard version of a game.
Ring fitted.
like Ring Fit Adventure, sure, but obviously that comes with a peripheral, so there's an addition to that. But so I do understand this thing. There's going to be people out there, who are slim, low on funds. Like getting the Switch 2 is already going to make a dent in the wallet. It's going to be hard for them to pick up an $80 game. So I get it, and I feel for that. At the same time, like, we're already selling games for $150 for the complete version of it, and those, like, the more affordable version, the non-75, the $90 version, or the $120 version, any Ubisoft game for that matter, and plenty of others.
All the gold editions from Ubisoft.
If you want the complete game, you're spending over $100 for most of these AAA games. Mario Kart, you're getting a complete game. You're not getting the Mario Kart World Standard Edition, Deluxe Edition, and Complete Edition. You're also not getting, you have to pre-order if you want to be able to play as Piranha Plant as a racer. You're not getting any of that bullcrap either, So listen, it's a little pricey, but you're getting a complete package, and you're getting a complete Nintendo package. And what is a complete Nintendo package? It's a game that's not broken. It works day one. It's not bugging out. It's not crashing out. It works as intended. It's the highest level of polish. And it's a game that's going to get supported the entire generation of Switch 2. 7 to 8 years of support this game is going to get. And who knows? Like, if Nintendo decides, hey, we're doing a huge ass DLC wave for this game, and guess what? It was so successful on Switch 1 with NSO. If you have NSO, you're getting the Mario Kart World DLC for free as well, with all the new characters and all the new tracks. So, like, there's potential for, like, really cool announcements. We have no idea. Maybe they'll add free racers. Maybe that's outside of DLC. Kind of like how Splatoon has added things for free, weapons and gear and stuff. But I don't know. I think the whole argument about console price is absolutely silly. I think it's priced incredibly fair. We don't know if tariffs may or may not, a lot could change in the next days or weeks. So I don't know how tariffs necessarily could or may affect Switch 2 pricing. But as it stands right now, with what we know, what has been confirmed by Nintendo, that $450 price point is beyond fair. The base level Steam Deck is $400, and it's nowhere near as good as Switch for a magnitude of reasons. The second level of Steam Deck, the base OLED, is not as good as Switch 2. And there's several reasons for that. HDR, no HDR support on the base level Steam Deck. The base level Steam Deck only runs with a refresh rate of 60 hertz. The Switch 2 is double that. There's a number of reasons. You get 2 controllers in the box with the Joy-Cons. That's 2 controllers with improved HD rumble out of the box. You don't get that with Steam Deck. Steam Deck, the dock is $80. Buy a separate purchase. You get a dock with the Switch. This is an extremely impressive piece of hardware. I know we're going to talk about power later. So I'll leave that part out of it. My point is, the console price, that's a moot point in my opinion. Obviously, it's subjective, but I think with what you're getting as a hybrid piece of hardware, I don't see any issue. $70, that's the standard of modern gaming. Obviously, Nintendo was going to make the jump. I don't think anyone should be surprised by that. So I really think the only thing there is to kind of have a debate over is whether you think Mario Kart World at $80 is a fair price.
Yeah,
everything else
we have
is pretty normal.
I think we have to reserve judgment until the very least until tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
This is a conversation to revisit after the direct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think we all have. It's like, do we like the price? No, but I will say I trust Nintendo. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, which is show us why. And they said in their direct, like, I found it very interesting that at the Switch 2 reveal, the big Switch 2 blowout, they make an announcement to tell us in advance at that direct. They could have tweeted it out, but they wanted to tell us that, hey, we got a direct coming for Mario Kart in like 2 weeks. Because they knew the price was going to get out after. And everyone jumped on them and, just freaked out. And the thing is like, hey, there's a reason they told us that. We have to remember that.
Sure.
Like they planted the seed. The sale's coming tomorrow.
Yeah. Demonic Brawler comes in with the $10 super chat saying, I don't really care that it's $80. First of all, I'm buying the bundle. So there you go. $30 off right there. But more importantly, I bought games for more than that on other systems that were digital deluxe, but broken day one.
Yep.
That's so true.
Yep.
I've done that. We've all done it, right? All of us. I remember one time getting NBA 2K and I got the deluxe edition, the one that was like 150, okay?
Yeah.
And I took off the Friday for work. So if you got that edition, you got it a few days early. So I think you got it on Friday and the retail release was like Tuesday in stores or, 9 p.m. the night before. And so if you're playing my team, right? Just like if you guys play Madden or NCAA, like if you can get a jump on that, right? And start building up before everyone else comes in, that's cool because you get a little bit of an edge, especially if then you got to go back to work while some of the younger kids who aren't working start catching up. At least it puts you on a more even level playing field. But I remember doing that and it was Labor Day weekend. The game was so busted. The servers were cracked out the whole time. It was the biggest waste. And this has happened so many times to so many big name IPs where you pay more money for these deluxe editions and they don't work. They're bugged out.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Star Wars Outlaws. All those people who got early access and then the game comes out and they're like, sorry, we have to push this patch through and your save file isn't going to work anymore. So you have to start over. Even though you paid extra money to play early, you're going to have to start from scratch again. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's like, what? But this happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then they charge you for day one DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Day one DLC, which it's day one, which means it was cut out of the game.
Yeah. And when you boot up the games now, the main menu where you start your game, load your game, go to your options, there's also a beautiful storefront with microtransactions to get you to pay more money. That's the day. Listen, Nintendo's not a perfect company. They make missteps. They fumble. Sometimes they do things that are very consumer friendly. Sometimes not so much. The day I bust open a Zelda and I'm getting blasted with microtransactions and all that stuff, that's going to be the day I shed a tear as a Nintendo fan.
I would too. Yeah.
They're advertising.
People being like the Doug Bowser redemption arc, and then you get the super chat comes in and says, Doug Bowser, our $80 games work.
Hey, for microtransaction in Zelda, you want this apple to be golden? Pay us $1.
I know. I understand some people saying that, not buying the $80 game, it's a principle thing about not wanting games to go up in prices. But look, even if Nintendo doesn't do it, it's happening anyways. We just went over a bunch of examples how they've been going well over the $80 price for a hell of a long time. Well, the standard editions, yeah, but you're also at a disadvantage when you get the standard editions often. So they're really heavily pushing the digital deluxes and the collector's editions. And, I forgot what the Madden one was, but and the big thing was NBA 2K too, is they've made the single player so currency dependent. And basically, if you don't get the deluxe version, you're not even going to be able to make your player a competent NBA player.
Yeah.
They will still be in the 60s, 10 years in to their career if you don't spend any money. It's ridiculous. It used to not be that way, but
that's why I don't play my career though. I play my team and I play no money spent. That's my whole thing, the no money spent squad. And I ball people up who you can very clearly see that I go on Reddit and different groups with 2K. There are people spending thousands of dollars. There's people who are literally spending $500,000 when they get paid and then not paying their bills. and like openly admitting to it, and like
What's that?
showing receipts and stuff. I'm like,
What's that one game? I wish I remember what it was called.
Me too.
Star Citizen, is that the one? Hundreds of millions of dollars. The game's never come out yet, though, that people have spent on it.
Yeah, I
It's
think
the sci-fi game.
Yeah,
Hundreds of millions.
forever kickstarted game.
Yeah, Kickstarter game.
I mean,
but
it's still in active development, but I literally don't know where any of that 900 million so far. 900 million.
$900 million from people. Yeah. And here's one other point I wanted to make on this pricing, that like a lot of people have this concern, but I don't necessarily know that it's a valid one to make. I saw a lot of people upset, especially early on, saying that, well, the problem is that Nintendo is setting the precedent for $80 games now. And I see how you could come to that conclusion, but here's the deal. We're late into this current gen for Sony and Microsoft. I'm sure, we'll be seeing the PS6 in the next year and a half to 2 years. Xbox, even sooner, what's next for them. I think it's a safe bet that regardless of if Nintendo kept their games at $60 or even hell, they switched 2 games to $50, I guarantee you that we'd see a standard of $80 from Microsoft and Sony going forward, especially with the amount of money that they throw into game development. There's been articles over the last year or longer about how AAA games need to cost more, and studios saying we're not charging enough for our games, and it's a problem. So I don't think yes, Nintendo's the first to do like a standard $80 game, but I don't really think that the industry is going to be like, oh, well, if Nintendo could do it, so can we. Obviously, there's been rumors that Grand Theft Auto 6 could cost up to $100 for the game. I think this stuff was coming regardless of what Nintendo did. Period.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. I mean, we've all heard the rumors that GTA 6 might be $100. And I'm not even going to say the game can't justify it. Look at the interest it has. Look at it's probably the highest budget video game of all time that's actually coming out. I don't know if it spent 900 million like like Star Citizen has, but if it did, they can justify it because they sold 200 million copies of GTA 5. It's pretty wild out there. Look, I'm not going to sit here and try to like justify the prices, right? I always tell people, you speak with your wallet, right? That's the biggest thing. I'm not going to ever tell people how to spend your money. It's your money. Spend it how you want. If you don't think $80 is worth it for Mario Kart, then don't buy it. That's okay. I'm not a salesperson for Nintendo. My job is not to sell you on their games, right? Like that's not my job. My job is to cover them and decide for myself what I like and what I don't like. I don't mind the $80 price point because I know the amount of entertainment I'm going to get. Stash. I'll just bring this up right now. We are streaming in 720p. It was my mistake.
Okay.
It's a setting I always forget. For some reason, our streaming service doesn't default to 1080. I have to change it before the stream every time. So I do apologize, guys. The stream's a little bit lower quality than I would like. Tomorrow, when I'm streaming the Mario Kart Direct, me and Stash are doing it. It will be in 1080p. I already went ahead and preset that on that one. Because after I realized, I'm like, oh crap, I screwed up on the show. Dang it. So I'm sorry about the 720p, guys. But oh well. It is what it is. And some of you guys might go, you're not streaming in 4K tomorrow? Well, no, because me and Stash are doing it together. But don't worry. I'm going to be working out. I'm slowly working out a way that we can come into the 4K era for Switch 2. Just give me some time to figure this out. All right. I'm trying to find a way to get it locally hosted. Eric has fiber as an example. So if I had like him host it with the laptop at his house, and we all just came into him and he streamed it back out. There's some things I've been playing with. My internet's set to be fast enough to do it as well. Because I've done 4K streams. You guys have seen it. So it's just a matter of the show would be set up completely different than now. Like right now, we use a web software. It's really easy to invite people into it. When you're doing it locally, it ain't that easy. You have to have entire layouts set up. I can't have like Andres Restart come in and be like, hey, can I just randomly join? Actually, no, because I don't have a layout to put you in. So like, also, it would be really cool if one of these services, whether it's this, StreamYard, whatever, there's a bunch of them out there, would actually add a 4K streaming option. I'm hoping that also happens at some point as well. That would make our decision really easy to switch software. Restream, telling you right now, 4K streaming's coming. They're starting to add it to Twitch. It's already up on YouTube. Let's go. Let's give it the times. Add a new premium tier. Let's get 4K streaming. I'll pay for it.
I mean, even
Premium.
if you don't keep it in the background at 4K,
or just find a compromise.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do the 4K use services because it's too much bandwidth, 1440.
No.
Let's cut the difference. Let's give them 2K. That being said, we're gonna move on to our next topic here in a moment. There's just one thing I wanted to feature quick. Let's see here. It came from Star Wars Addict. Did a $5 set. I was pretty harsh on a comment I made on Nintendo Prime Video, but you have enjoyed the videos. Your apologies. Thank you guys for the content. For starters, you're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look, harsh comments get made. We get passionate about these things. And I think sometimes, like even like some people that were upset at me about what I said about Nintendo today and the mistakes they made. What's really hard is when I make a video, there's what I say, but then there's no back and forth. It's just you see what I say. People think I'm screaming, which I'm not. I just talk very loudly.
He does.
If I'm yelling, you'll know because the microphone will peak so hard it'll make your ears bleed. I legitimately do not actually yell in my videos, but I get that it sounds like it, and I do increase the volume in my videos so the quieter parts kind of sound a bit better. But I when we can have a legit back and forth like on the live streams, I think that's when people realize, oh, I kind of understand a little bit more where things were coming from. Really wasn't that bad. Yeah, a lot of your videos have been actually pretty positive about Nintendo. So that's why I like the live streams. I like the podcast as well because we get a crew together. We get to all have a conversation together. But I appreciate you being your Star Wars Addict and anyone else who's here as well and just enjoying the show. And it's also cool if you just don't like me. What am I going to do? Be mad about it? Like, it's fine. Not everyone's meant to like everyone,
I mean, I'm here. I don't like you. No, I'm kidding.
I know.
I'm kidding.
He's only here waiting. He's hearing about all the sponsorships coming.
Yeah,
like,
right.
All right. When's the podcast sponsor coming? So I get that sweet, sweet payday.
Yeah. Yeah.